As the war between the Admiral army and Politifact goes deeper, today I saw an article I could just not ignore. How we know Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential race. That's a pretty funny title, because as far as I know, I don't think that he actually has won the race yet. I don't get why they're declaring that they've won so far. Now, I just like to get a feel for who we're arguing with here today, kind of as my own debate stage here. We got Daniel Funky. I'll cut him some credit for his last name. Funky, come on. I'm sure it's Funk, but it's kind of funny the other way. Samantha Putterman is the other one, who I would give a little less credit to. Putterman. I mean, come on, I bet she's good on like the putt-putt course, but I know she can't drive that shit from the range. But anyways, that aside, we have, if your time is short, Joe Biden has more votes than Donald Trump in battleground states that put him past the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. So that's kind of odd because these states have actually not declared their electoral votes towards Joe Biden yet, obviously because of the different court statements that have been out. I mean, there are many recounts even occurring at the moment. I guess just one, but I assume more will follow. But still, that's their fact check. The first one they come out straight out the gate with is, well, he has he has enough electoral votes to win. But did he win? No? Trump's still in court? Oh. Well, that pretty much just ends this whole one right now, doesn't it? But it doesn't, so keep on watching. The winning margins are large enough that it is unlikely that recounts or Trump's legal actions will affect the outcome of the election. Now, that is a statement that I find particularly false. That would get the pants on fire rating from me on this statement right here, because Giuliani has come up with plenty of evidence. I mean, 234 affidavits, and I believe just Michigan County, and he said Pennsylvania is next. And actually, in Pennsylvania, they even already won a lawsuit to get certain ballots discarded. However, it was only about 10,000, which is, I mean, a decent amount. But there are even a greater amount in question. I mean, like they say, 600,000 in question is what Giuliani said, because they were sent in after the deadline. They weren't even able to watch, like the observers of the conservative side weren't even able to watch people count the ballots. They were set behind restrictions. Sometimes they even had pictures of on Washington Post, I believe, or Washington Inquirer, of a guy with binoculars looking down, trying to see what people are writing down on ballots. Like, the courts even sided with Trump's legal team to say that they were put too far back. But instead, as they moved the observers forward, they moved the ballot counters, back even further. It's just an insane political sphere that everything is in these days, because it's just not right, man. There's so much lying and just sheep following orders. But that's aside from the point. Time for the next point. Federal and state officials say there is no evidence that widespread voter fraud affected the integrity of the vote. I just love the amount of syntax overload that they use in their statements just to try and confuse people and believe that they are the arbiters of truth. Like they say here, there is no evidence that widespread voter fraud affected the integrity of the vote. So there's no evidence of widespread, but what about in the capitals of places like Philadelphia and Michigan? It's kind of like all of the Biden votes came from areas like that, just sort of flooded in out of nowhere when observers weren't allowed to watch. It's kind of a weird conundrum to be in. Nothing that's ever been witnessed in the political sphere before. And this one says, don't quit on me yet. We're almost through. The presidential election result will be finalized when Congress counts electoral votes on January 6th. Biden will be sworn in as president on January 20th. This is kind of a weird statement. It kind of sends me back. It's almost like, why would they be saying that Biden definitely won, but then also giving like a clarification of why he will win at a later time? Sort of like they're delaying something. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I mean, if I believed that Biden had won, I would say that he's the current winner. You know, not that the Electoral College has to come around later or Congress counts electoral votes. Kind of an odd statement to make as your fourth example. So it says here, Trump has brought a barrage of legal challenges contesting vote totals in several key swing states. He has repeatedly made unfounded assertions of victory and allegations that widespread voter fraud affected the outcome of the election. Crazy. They started throwing this widespread voter fraud syntax in just recently. It's sort of like they knew that some voter fraud would happen at some point, but they weren't sure where. Computers, you know, technology, China virus, And on social media, his supporters have backed him up. Whoa, it's almost like they actually believe the assertions he's making because it's so wild how many different types of fraud or impropriety have occurred this year specifically. I mean, in any other time the race was close and they called for a recount, it's like, okay, there was an instance or two where it's like, this is sort of weird. I don't get what happened here. But in this case specifically, it's everywhere, man. All of the swing states, actually, not even just everywhere, just the swing states. You realize how any state that was considered definitely Democrat or definitely conservative, no contest at all. But in states where it could have swung either way, magically Biden wins by a decent margin. Kind of weird, because I didn't think many people would really be that enthusiastic about Biden, especially in Michigan and Pennsylvania, where he just said that he would stop fracking. Weird conclusion to come to. Since Election Day, we fact-checked dozens of posts that misconstrue small errors in the ballot. Small errors, like 6,000 votes getting switched from Trump to Biden. Small errors, you know, computers, Can say it a million times. Counting process as evidence of the nationwide Democrat-led voter fraud scheme. Federal officials have said that's not the case. But alternative electoral maps and claims that the president is on track to win a second term have still proliferated on social media. That's calling for, that's pretty much them saying, well, why are they allowed to even say that Trump has a chance here? Joe Biden all the way. I mean, it's already over, right? The reason so many people have stuck behind Trump is because, man, he doesn't give up. I can respect that so much. He does not give up. Have you ever watched an anime and the main character's just getting beat down? You know, he pretty much just gets pile drivered from space into the ground. He's smashed down in about 30 feet as if a meteor just crashed into the earth. And then he gets back up. He's all beaten up, barely able to move, and he still whoops the villain's ass. Because that is Trump. And I expect it to happen again. Trump is my anime hero, and I expect him to come back. Especially when I see stuff like this stating that Joe Biden has won. If you were having a fair election, you would say, it looks as if Biden has won. However, Trump still has a chance. And I mean, I'm not even saying that the chance is great, but I'm saying he has a chance, and that is what these media sites aren't doing. And that's why it's so obvious. But I'm going to end it on that one. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.